All right, welcome back. Welcome back to another episode of the Top of Off Cricket Podcast. I am your host, Kevin Henry. And as usual, with me, I got my brethren Sam and Walter. And we talking everything West Indies cricket. Now, fellas, currently the West Indies women's team are in England. They're engulfed in battle right now with the English ladies. They're finding it tough. But Hayley Mathews recently did an interview piece, and she had some interesting comments to make with regards to the state of the game in the women's game in the West Indies, and why she feels it is tough for our women to go out there on the international scene and do what they need to do. What are your thoughts on that, Walter?
I have to agree with Hayley. I have to agree with Queen Hayley, as I call her. I think the greatest batsman currently in West Indies, male or female. Batter, the great batter, right? So, as a teacher in Guyana and the Caribbean, you normally have multiple roles. And the fact that we love sports, we love all sports. Cricket is our number one sport, but we love sport. And as a teacher, when I used to teach in Georgetown, there was a win ball tournament for the girls. School won it twice. We used to go even on Sundays to play this. Me and another female teacher, we go and give up our Sundays to get these girls play. One of those young ladies ended up making Guyana team. I'm not gonna call her name right now. The thing is that I always ask her, what's going on with Guyana cricket? And she's like, sir, you see, we won that tournament. We got runners up we got close in the one-day tournament. So they only had a week training. So Hayley is right. With more needs, I don't think enough is done. If enough is not done for the males, and this is the common argument everybody's saying, it's not done for the females, right? I know, given the great Carl Moore, given his with Tremaine Smart, she was good, but her game improved because she used to play first division for Burma. Right? And I see Tremaine bowl down some big batters, right? And at the end of the day, more needs to be done at the grassroots level, at the school level, at the coaching level, throughout the Caribbean for the young ladies.
Sam, Hayley mentioned, a lot of time our women would have played a minimum amount of matches, and then they're selected for international duties. They head over to England, India, wherever the case it might be. And then you can see the gulf in experience. In terms of cricket being played, right? How much more do you think can be done with regards to the women being more active in terms of tournaments being played?
First of all, I do not have the history of all the women currently, touring with the West Indies. But I'm willing to bet, if you look into the background of our better women players, what you will see is that they were playing cricket with the boys in the village or the town or the city or wherever they come from very early, before that they get to 10. You see? And so there is a love for the game, right? They have some miles on them. Certain basic things would have been picked up from early, right? So Hayley Mathews is obviously correct about, the lack of cricket for women in the Caribbean. But more than that, I would say we also have to look at the early stages of the development of a player. What is happening there, right? And so what our territorial boards, and notice I didn't say Cricket West Indies. I'm saying now territorial boards, our ministries of education. What needs to happen is for better organization to get our girls into cricket from early, because not every girl gonna do the tomboy thing and play with her brothers or,
Yeah.
Right? So you're not leaving it up to chance. You want to take deliberate action to deal with the cricket at the grassroots level. We've mentioned here before that one of the things that can happen is that you can make it mandatory to say that, look, every school team, you must have at least one female cricketer until such time as we can really bring the female game to say, well, okay, in every primary school that has a cricket team, you can easily get a 13
Walter,
female squad.
Do you think the coaching in high schools or in the primary schools, matter of fact, would play an important role?
100, Kevy, 100. As you thinking, I was thinking at the primary school level, we could start with basic a lot. Once we have coaches, specific coaches going into the primary school and working on the game with the teachers as part of the curriculum, right? And we don't have to start with a hard ball. We could start with teaching them how to feel, and we could start with flannel ball, and we could have a national under 12 tournament throughout the Caribbean, right? And you might imagine we have a tournament where where St. Teresa's and St. Aloysius and all of them are playing each other twice, and it's it's a Friday evening or a Saturday evening. We have 2 matches or 3 matches, right? Starting in the evening, or 2 matches with part of the community, or we have it somewhere in St. John's in Barbados, and these are the things we need to, and it will help bring the community out and give young women things to do, and we move on. We at the end of the day, people will say, okay, Walter, Kevy, Sammy, we don't have enough money, but I keep saying the one thing: we need to think outside of the box. We need to come up with the various strategies and just implement them, just put them in, because 10 years ago, when we won 9 years ago, when we won that on that World Cup, right? At that time, we could argue that a lot of the teams, India's and were at a particular level. They weren't necessarily better. Obviously, Australia, England, right? But all of a sudden, all of the other countries are away, and West Indies we've seemed to regress. So we have not had, other than Hayley, we've not had a lot of other players coming out. So we need to find ways to unearth it, and we can unearth it through coaching, Kevin.
So I'm thinking here, instead of having coaches come in, I mean, nothing wrong with the coaches coming in, right? Mm-hmm. Working with the schools. Mm-hmm. But you and I have had a lot of conversations over the years, talking especially about stuff like track and field and football in Jamaica. And the schools, they're having specialized coaches in the schools, attached to the schools, right? To the program. Sam, you can probably speak more to this also. I don't know how much you're in tune with, how things are working in Jamaica in terms of, the coaches, whether it's track and field, football, cricket, that stuff. But do you think if we're having teachers who would have specialized in coaching cricket, especially where the females are concerned, right? Do you think that would be something great going forward?
Most definitely. And in fact, when you mention coaching, when I think back to our time, Mr. Dundas, Wonderful fella, right? We all loved him. But when I think back to that time, Mr. Dundas did everything when it came to sport. You see? And I recognize that in the Caribbean, we have a human resource problem. We get that. You see? But it does not mean that, okay, every school must have a cricket coach. We know that's going to be difficult, if near impossible. In Jamaica, there's an institution called the G.C. Foster, right? And that institution is where people go and they can get training to become coaches in various disciplines and what have you. So where Jamaica is in terms of its athletics and so on is not by accident. You ask anybody who knows anything about sports in Jamaica, G.C. Foster will come up, right? So I say this all to say that we need coaches specialized in cricket. I will go a step further too. When it comes to dealing with females, we need coaches who are trained to deal with females.
Yeah.
Not
especially in the light of what happened recently, the revelations that came out to the West Indies cricket team.
There is that. There is that awareness. But there's another thing too.
I know exactly where you're going, Sammy. I know where you're going.
All right.
Yeah.
I don't need to say it, right? But women are different from men for obvious reasons, you see? And you need to be trained to know how to manage females.
Especially
you can't take a coach, right? You can't take a coach who, yeah, man, John down the road has done well with the boys, and you throw him in to deal with the girls, and then, no. You have to, even if you want to bring John in to work with the females, he has got to go through specialized training to deal with the girls. So, long and short of it, yeah, I agree with you.
Chris, I am on the, not necessarily, as a teacher, I understand that. I think that a lot of teachers could receive the training, but not all the teachers are necessarily interested in becoming that. So we have to find people that's a problem. So you might find, especially at the private school level, where there are, I'm being careful. I hope people don't take this out, okay, where there's a lot of females. And females in sport, especially from a particular generation, people don't necessarily see sport as important, right? So we need to have policies and there again, training and understanding that we can't have these lessons and school. We need to find a balance, and that's coming from Guyana. That's a definite problem, right? So that needs to be addressed. So yes, the teachers, but having outside people come in and who are just for the cricket, and they don't have to be every day, right? So we could work on that. Again, Chris Darren also said something also, that cricket needs to find a way to get into the other sports, or like sometimes not everybody is going to be the twins from Jamaica.
Clayton twins.
Yes. So we need to find a way to get those people into our sport.
And that's excellent, because one of the things which is quite glaring about our women cricket, and I mean no offense at all to them, yeah, but we got to face the facts. They are not all athletic in their build, you know. And that's a concern. Now, I'm not saying that a person cannot excel in cricket if they're not of a Stephanie Taylor, in terms of build, right? But it would be harder if we think back to Chandler Paul, for example, right? Chandler Paul walked out there and is this frail-looking young man, what have you, right? But guess what? Chandler Paul spent hours in the fishnets, right? Because it was the fishnets that made the string up on Chandler Paul bat all day.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm not saying you can't, but you get an edge when you're athletic. When you do other sports. Brian Lara played football, and if he could have made it for the Trinidad, I don't know, under 19 or something.
He was good enough. He was good enough.
Right? So he and Dwight York are partners, yes?
Yeah, he was good enough.
And I think he also played table tennis.
Yes, he did.
Which is good for hand-eye coordination, what have you. You see? So the idea is that our ministries of education have got to take a serious look at sports in general. And the point again coming,
policy changes.
Right. And I don't want to call names, but there are people at various generations, who have done well in academia and what have you. When you check the history, you see where they excelled in some sport in school. They didn't make it to any team or definitely not the West Indies or what have you, or played for the country necessarily. But you see where you say, oh yes, I used to play cricket. There's a famous...
We're talking West Indies cricket. We're talking about Chris Derring. Chris Derring used to play cricket and football. I think he has a college scholarship, if I'm not mistaken, for football.
There you go.
Walter Rodney.
Walter Rodney was a high jumper.
He was a high jumper. He played sports. Yeah.
Right?
He jumped.
Sir Hilary Beckles.
Was
a bowler, played in England.
Yeah. The great Michael Holden was a 400-meter runner.
Yeah.
So we need to encourage more of this happening, more of the girls playing the other sports and not, you see, Odette Parry in one of her books in terms of talking about on the development of why men don't do as well as females. She coined this term called loosiable tire heifer. Right? And that's a problem we have in the Caribbean.
Loosiable tire heifer.
Yes.
Yeah. That is quite common in West Indian society. The bull is loosed and the heifer is tied.
Well, the bigger issue, I think, now in our West Indian society has to do with this internet.
Yeah.
The boys and the girls.
But Sammy, I'm in North America, and the people, if you're interested in sport and you provide the opportunity, the children will put it down.
Agreed. I take your point, but you see, because here is what we have to remember at a very basic level, we are social beings, So if when nothing is going on, you go home, Mary and Suzette, they online, they have the make-believe farm, they're planting this and planting that online or whatever, or building a city or whatever it is they're doing, and you're interacting with them. But I agree with you now, if you have the facilities and you can meet up with Mary and Suzette, you're playing football or what have you, it is fundamentally about that social interaction, sharing something and building something together. I agree with you.
I believe we're naturally social. In terms of Mills, Tupac said it best. He used to hang with the thugs, but even though they sold drugs, they showed the young brother love. Yeah. And that's what that meant, right? And that's why men go to gangs and those kind of things. Anyway, Jesus was in a gang, but I
would like to add this to the conversation, right? Besides of what you guys have covered, this is what I've noticed, and it goes back to what Hayley has said. We're just not playing enough cricket. when I look at when our women are playing tournaments territorially, right? It's usually a one rung, and then you get to the semi-final, final, and it's done. You understand? The regional one day, the T20, the regional one day, same thing. On the horizon, not too far, I can't remember if it's next year, West Indies have a test match against South Africa. And I asked the question, was 2 matches?
No, 2 days it finished.
There's quite a possibility, right?
Mm.
So how are we expecting our young ladies to go out there and give a proper account for themselves when they struggle to bat
True.
a couple of overs in a T20 match, right? Many of these ladies have never bowled 10 overs in a day. You're
right.
You know, there's some one-day games coming up against England. There's some one-day games, I think, coming up against South Africa pretty soon also. Hayley's currently advertising those South Africa games, right? How are we going to fare? If you want our ladies to perform in a certain format, you have to provide that format for them to practice in. And games at the regional level, that's what it is. It's practice, it's preparation for international engagements. And this is what Hayley is speaking to. We are not playing enough cricket.
Kevin and Sammy, again, I keep saying this. We don't have to have the big, right now, we don't have to have the big grandiose tournament where everything is even seen on TV or the YouTube. We don't have, let the women go who are making it from Guyana, West Indies. And I know if West Indies, they don't have to stay in the fancy hotels. We could get houses, Airbnb. We could do this. So listen to me. For this particular tournament, you're playing 2 rounds. And this is the big tournament. We're doing this, whatever. But the last part going to be 2 rounds. But they could play for like 4 to 6 months, and we have enough proper cricket where we play multiple rounds, or we find different ways for them to play that high level cricket consistently. So if they know, because we pay them,
it compounds. If you allow your players, or you give them the opportunities, right? It compounds, because when we look, just like what we said about our men in the game, they mature later, as in the case of Casey Carty right now. You're looking 10 years down the line with Carty right now, and it's now that he's really coming into his own as a cricketer, right? 28, 29 years old. It has taken him this long to figure it out. And I looked at his stats, 10 years, he has played 50, just over 50 something first class matches, red ball matches, I think 71 list A matches. If you look at the English player right now, and you were to compare the records, you would see something drastically different. Last year when West Indies were in England, the young wicketkeeper that England had behind the stumps had already played. God, let me bring up Jamie Smith's stats, because he's supposed to be in the England squad tomorrow. Jamie Smith. Let me get Jamie Smith. Jamie Smith has played 72 first class matches. You understand? And he's in his early 20s. 72 first class matches. Casey Carty been playing first class cricket for God in heaven knows how long. And he's only played 54 matches. Hayley, thanks to international cricket, because Hayley Mathews has been playing for West Indies since I think she was 16. Mm-hmm. Most of the cricket she has played has been on the international scene. Not at the West Indies women's first class level. It has been on the international scene, most of the cricket that she has played. DeAndre Dutton, Stephanie Taylor, all these young women. But when you look at the English players and the Australian players and the Indian players, they have a lot of cricket that they play back home that prepare them for international engagements. And that's where the struggle is right now for our cricketers, both males and females. Simply not playing enough cricket.
Yeah,
There is one thing we should be grateful for, Walter, you mentioned Tremaine Smart, right?
Yes.
She is now in the
Coach of
coaching
Guyana.
setup.
this is the coach.
Right?
Yeah.
I don't think we should look at that lightly.
No.
You guys know I always underscore the importance of stories, right?
Yeah.
Mm.
She has been out there. She knows what international cricket is about.
Looks like
Right. So I am hopeful.
she's a World Cup winner.
Next 5 to 10 years,
And justly dropped.
you have the Tremaine Smarts, you have the Stephanie Taylors, what have you, the Hayley Mathews, who can now work with our next generation of women cricketers. And of course, the young girls have these people they can look up to.
The Aguilera former captain is in Trinidad.
Marissa Aguilera.
How could I forget her? There you go.
And the one that the bowler from Barbados, she's also in admin for some reason. Thing. She does commentary from Barbados.
Oh my! How am I forgetting her name?
Yeah. We know.
Yeah.
Connell. Is it Connell?
No, Connell's still playing. Is it next
Connell's
one?
still playing.
Yeah.
Right.
But I know who you're talking about. She does
Popular commentator.
Yeah.
Yeah. My apologies to her.
Yeah, definitely apologies to the young lady, but because she does phenomenal on commentary.
You know the voice.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, she knows what she's saying. She knows what she's saying.
Yeah.
And you know what, guys? I've been looking at the England matches, and I'm telling you, England have not beaten us.
No.
I don't care the jumping up and them kind of thing. Girls, if y'all watch the England beat y'all, let me tell you this. It's just that because they have not played, we don't have game awareness. It's like with Gajnabi. Gajnabi could actually bat.
Yeah.
In that last match, Gajnabi hit somebody straight on a big 6 down the ground, lovely shot, and then trying to play a reverse ramp shot. It's like why? It's like so. This has happened because she has not played enough cricket.
Experience. You understand?
You should know that. You know what? I remember playing for Guyana a few years ago, and Ken said this, and it only comes with experience. Ken was like, in mid-20s. Ken was like, again, typical West Indian cricket, not mature enough. Walter, you gotta know when you got a batsman in trouble. So sometimes when you got a batter in trouble, it's not necessarily mean that the player miss and all these kind of stuff here. You can see the body language, they're playing at the wrong rate. Sometimes they might play down the wrong line and rushing it and all of these kind of things. And you gotta know that here what happened. They might run after you and try to hit a 6. And you understand that, okay, well, hey, pull back in. I'll give you a simple example of experience. The great Ashwin played, and Kevin and I think we had this conversation, you, Gregory, and I. Ashwin bowling to Darren Bravo. Darren Bravo went down the line. Big shot, 6 runs. All Ashwin did, fellas, is pull it back this bit. This much.
Yeah.
So again, same thing, and he didn't release the pitch of the ball and he holds out.
Yeah.
Right? The difference between Darren Bravo and the great Brian Lara or some other places is that Brian Lara would have gone and he would have checked that ball. And that only comes from a lot of cricket, playing a lot of cricket, because you know that the guy, I didn't reach the pitch of the ball, he deliberately pulled back that length. So you got to understand, okay, I cannot go through with a shot.
Listen, we're talking about... last episode, we spoke about Casey Carty, right? Tonight, this episode, we're talking about the women. One of the things that is constant there is exposure. The reason why Carty has managed to get to the level that he's operating at right now is because of exposure, right? Same thing that needs to happen for our young ladies. In order for them to get to a certain level, other than Hayley Mathews, they need the exposure. Not only at the international level, because you can't come to the international level and try to learn the game. And that's where some of our young ladies are struggling right now. It's a learning curve, and it's a steep curve, because they simply haven't played or have enough exposure at the domestic level. So now when you show up in England, Raeliana Grimman, not having that awareness that you got to down your butt, stay in your crease. You understand? You don't have room for mental lapses. And she's a young lady. Yes, she's got to learn.
Play the same shots in the second innings. Got dropped, played back again, then played back again, and obviously at that level you can get catch.
Yeah. Anyways, fellas, we hoping that Cricket West Indies has a comprehensive plan, along with coordinating with the governments around the territories and Ministry of Education, to make the female game more viable, because you got to start bottom up, right? That is the hope. Making the foundations of the game stronger, coaches getting into the schools, getting the young ladies involved from a young age, because in England and Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, India, the young ladies are involved from a very, very young age. I don't think our young ladies are involved early enough.
We have a model, guys. Hayley Mathews. If we listen to her story, she's the model. She's the model.
And we'll end it there on Hayley Mathews is the model. There's as Sammy would say, there's a story there. All right, guys. Thank you for coming out tonight. Thank you for hanging out. Top of our cricket podcast, signing off. It in we veins. Cricket. Lovely cricket.
All the time. Cricket West Indies Cricket family.
All the